Hey there, and welcome to Learn UI Design, the complete video course. First of all, thanks. Thanks for purchasing this course. I know you've got a lot of options for how to learn user interface design. This is just one among many, but I appreciate you choosing Learn UI Design, and I want it to be the very best place for people to learn UI design. So in this video, I want to cover a lot of the introductory bits and bobs, but I'm going to start with an offer, okay? And this is an offer for you. And it is this. I know that over the course of learning UI design, especially as a beginner, there's going to be many things that you just want to get some feedback on, right? And for me, this was certainly the case, okay? Because you have to understand, I have never worked for someone else's company as a designer. I've only been an independent designer. And so all of the work that I do is here in my home office. And a lot of times when I've created something, I think, geez, I wish I had someone that I could show this to. Like, I don't know who's going to have really good feedback, but if I could just walk over to someone else's desk and show them something and get some feedback, that'd be awesome. Well, I want to be that person for you. If there's no one else who you can go to for any sort of design feedback or just questions, and it could be about anything. It could be about, what should this button look like? Where should this chart go, etc. I will help in any way that I can. And if you need to get a hold of me, there's two ways to do it. The first is email, okay, eric@learnui.design, and that's Eric with a K, don't forget that. And then the second is on the Slack channel. And we'll come back and we'll talk about the Slack a little bit more in just a minute. But my name is @Eric on the Slack. So that's Eric, again, with a K. So just ping me on either of those two and let me know what struggles you're having as you learn UI design. Now, this is a good thing to do for a couple of reasons. One is because you're going to get help, but the other is because then if there's things that are cropping up again and again from different folks who are learning UI design, I know that those are missing in the course and I can add those videos and make the course better, okay? And I always want to be doing that. So let's go over sort of an overview of what the course is all about. First of all, it's broken down into a couple different units, and each of those units has different video lessons, or different lessons. Not every single thing listed as a lesson has a video, but most of them do, okay? And this is one half of the course, okay? You watch the video, you're going to see below it, there's going to be a summary of what the video talks about. There's also going to be a homework assignment. Not every video has a homework assignment, but again, most do. And I recommend you do them as well, okay? Because watching a video is not going to make you a better designer. Designing is going to make you a better designer. And so I've really tailored these homework assignments to be kind of limited so that you practice the skill that we talk about in the video, okay? It's supposed to be a really useful way for you to build one skill without having to worry about knowing how to do everything else in design. And so once you've done that, you go to the other half of the course, which is the Slack channel. Okay, if you've never used Slack, it's just kind of a community message board. Think of it like a forum/chat room. Okay, and you're going to have people posting their homework assignments, getting feedback, giving feedback. It's great. I want the Slack to be the number one place for beginning UI designers to hone their craft. Okay, and so it's a very positive community. Don't feel bad about taking over a channel in order to post your homework assignment or anything. That's the point of it. We want to hear from you. And I know it's going to be a little nerve-wracking because if you've never designed anything, all of a sudden you're showing your very first stabs at design to a bunch of strangers on the internet. But we're really friendly strangers. It's going to be awesome, okay? What's next? Learning with a project. Learning with a project is a super important thing because you're going to get way more out of this course if you go through it with a project in mind, okay? It's the difference between, say, like, if I read a book on marketing, okay? It might be an interesting book if I don't have anything to market. It might be an interesting book. I might learn something. I might go, oh, that's nice. That's fascinating. But if I read that book and I do have something to market, all of a sudden it changes. The experience completely changes. It becomes much more like sitting down and having 10 hours of awesome conversation with one of the world's leading experts in this one thing, Okay. Now I want this course to be way more like the latter than the former. I want you to have questions in your mind, to have wrestled with things a little bit, and to be thinking about how you're going to do certain things as you watch these videos. Because when you do that and you go in with the questions and then you go into the homework assignments, it makes it real, it makes it practical, and it also ties it into all the little bits and pieces of design knowledge that you have already. It really anchors your further knowledge, and you're going to remember this better and longer. So have a project in mind. And what is this project necessarily? It could be anything, okay? It could be your project at work, right? If that needs better design and you're the person to do that. It could be a side project. It could be something that you're doing nights and weekends. It could also be, say, just pick like a nonprofit that you like, that maybe they don't have the best design. But you say, you know what? I'm going to think about redesigning their site and, or maybe redesigning this other app. And if at the end of this course, you really like what you've done, just send it to them, right? And say, hey, look what I did. So whatever this project is, just have one in mind. It's gonna help you get the most possible out of this course. Now, software. This course is taught in Sketch. Sketch is a fantastic user interface design program. And I have to say that when I started UI design, Sketch was not even a thing. It wasn't out yet. And so I started out with Photoshop. And as many of you know, Photoshop is basically the Swiss Army knife of any kind of image editing or creation tools. And going from Photoshop to Sketch was like going from trying to cut a 2x4 with a Swiss Army knife to actually having a circular saw and just like right through it. It's great. So I highly recommend Sketch. But there's a huge caveat here, which is that Sketch is only for Mac, okay? Because it's made by a bunch of design snobs, and you know how design snobs are. They only make their software for Mac. If you want to use something similar, which there are similar applications because Sketch has basically inspired a couple competitors to pop up because it's so revolutionary in UI design, check out, for instance, Figma, which is a web-based user interface design program. And you can also check out Adobe's Experience Designer program. And that one is just kind of getting started for Mac and Windows as I record this video. So check out either of those two if you're on Windows. You can go through this video course with any design program that you want, but like I'm going to be, since you're watching over my shoulder essentially as I design so much, you're going to get to know Sketch pretty well. And if you can use it yourself or one of those programs that has a similar interface that I mentioned, that's going to be all the better, okay? Because it'll be cool. You'll start out kind of feeling a little bit clunky with these programs, but by the end, you're going to be so much more comfortable and you're going to know a lot of the tips and tricks for using these apps. Now, one thing that is also worth mentioning is UI versus UX, user interface design versus user experience design. The industry does not have super clear terms on what each of these mean or super clear definitions for each of these. So I want to tell you what I define them as because this course, you'll notice, is called Learn UI Design. Okay? So what's the difference between UI and UX? Think of it like the old Steve Jobs quote that design is not just how it looks, it's how it works. Okay? And in the realm of software design, how it looks is what I'm going to refer to as user interface design or UI design. How it works is much more like, is it usable? Does it seem familiar? Is it laid out well? A lot of that kind of falls into the UX side of things, the user experience side of things. Now, these two disciplines are like sister disciplines. It's really impossible to like entangle them totally from one another. And you're going to notice that again and again in these lessons, I will talk about principles of, like I'll bring UX principles in as we're designing user interface and trying to make something look nice. Because I'm not interested in making something look nice for its own sake if it's not usable. I want to make the best possible product for users, and hopefully you do too. And so a lot of what we're going to be talking about is going to reference usability principles. But if you are looking for a course on how to do user testing and user research and all those sorts of methods, this is not your course, okay? This is a course that's much more about the visual side of things, about colors, about typography, about the fundamentals of visual design as applied to screens. So just want to clear that up. Ping me if this was not what you expected, but if it was and you're in the right place, again, welcome. Now, from here, you've seen the introductory video. You can go almost anywhere in this course. There's some videos that have prerequisites, but most of them do not, okay? And so the idea here is if you do have some project in mind, something that you're working on, and you know you're struggling in one area first, you can go and start watching videos in that area. But if you have no strong preference to jump somewhere else, I highly recommend you stick around this unit for at least another couple minutes because one, we're going to introduce Sketch, but I'm also going to talk a little bit about how to set up your Sketch workspace to have very efficient design. And I'm going to show you a couple tips and tricks that not everyone does. It's not like it's built into Sketch. These are just things, files that I keep handy, tools that I make sure I install in my browser so that I can design as quickly as possible and keep getting better and better, okay? And I think you're going to like those. So without any further ado, we will see you in whatever video you choose to watch next. And once again, welcome and thanks. All right, cheers.